Hi, we're gonna do a cinematic breakdown of this. What makes it cinematic? Maybe it's my lighting, but we're gonna break down the CBUM film that I made. Chris Bumstead, working on a long form, multi-part documentary series with him. I put out a teaser and you guys asked tons of questions. I had hundreds of responses about how we made that, what choices we made, and a lot of technical questions. So actually gonna do something really fun on the second half of this video. I'm gonna go shot by shot, give you all the lens data, how we lit it, and talk about each specific shot. Before I get into this, there were some great questions about the storytelling, because I really do think this is the most important part. I'll get into the technical, but I'm here to help you work with your directorial and storytelling skills. So let's jump right into those questions. By the way, this video is brought to you by Sennheiser. More on that later. Question number one, how do you balance and handle capturing authentic moments as they were and as they were happening, and also creating beautiful planned cinematic shots? How I like to approach my projects is this. I start with easy scenes. These are scenes that are just regular day activities that my character is used to doing. This is so that we can begin to build a rapport and a level of comfortability together while I'm filming. It's uncomplicated. Then my goal is to become invisible. It's to slowly either interact with the character less so that I'm just a wallflower in their life, or my goal is to become one of their friends so that my presence is less intrusive. I really want them to forget that we're making a movie. Then finally, once we've gotten the real, authentic story, that's when I'll begin to assert my vision. And this is where I'll stage more scenes, I'll bring in the film lights, and I'll get those extra cinematic moments that didn't happen naturally. It really means you have to be patient and wait till the end to get those shots that you most want sometimes. But as a filmmaker, this is something that you have to earn. What was the name of the song? I got this question a lot. I got this over on Music Bed. This is a song called Flickering Lights by Kino. We had been trying hundreds of different songs. I was actually working with 3 different composers at one point, asking them all, could you send me samples? And then we found this song on Music Bed and it was perfect. If I can give you one piece of advice when looking for music, it's choose the right song, then go find another one. What I mean is the right song usually feels perfect. It feels epic, it feels cinematic. But I find it more interesting to find a song that you didn't necessarily think. This is a film about bodybuilding and often masculinity, and we have this beautiful, soft piano with not much else to it. And to me, that was a perfect contrast and spoke to Chris's character. He is a strong individual, but one that seeks for therapy and wholeness. This was a big question in the film, is can Chris be the best in the Olympia, but also at the same time work through therapy and be the best husband and father that he can? That contrast was what I wanted with that music, because that's the contrast Chris is living in his life. I put a link to that song down below as well if you want to check it out. Next question, who wrote the script and was it hard to get him to sound like him? What's very interesting is a lot of you asked if this narration from this commercial was taken from just interviews or how we came about it, but it in fact was a script. This was the only time we scripted something for Chris.
Will I be remembered just for what I did or who I was?
Again, it was at the end of production. We'd been working with him for almost a year. It was that time where we definitely had a good idea of what Chris's existential questions were in his life. We had done maybe 4 or 5 sit-down interviews with him in the film already at this point. So we worked with New Kid, specifically Matt Don from that agency. He's an incredible copywriter. And we discussed at length the different questions Chris was wrestling through, and then presented him 4 different scripts. And we allowed Chris to choose which one he felt was closest to his voice. From there, the best piece of advice I can get you is whatever you write down in a script, cut it in half or even more. We cut out about 60% of the lines out of this script and got it down just to the most punchy ones. Typically, the less words you can say, the more impactful they will be because you'll remember them. If it's just a stream of consciousness, if there's so much narration, it gets lost in the film. One of the ways that we got Chris to actually be comfortable with this is we got him to walk around and we followed him with a shotgun. We had originally done a table read. He kind of sat down at a table and we recorded him, but that didn't come across natural. That was more stagnant. It felt like Chris was sitting at a table. So instead, we waited to the end of a workout when Chris's blood was pumping. He was a little more distracted. He had some endorphins going. And then we got him just to think of the narration. I would ask him questions that would specifically prompt the lines from the narration we'd written. And I would follow him with a shotgun, just so he didn't have to feel like it was some stagnant voiceover read.
Hi, I want to talk about today's sponsor. Normally, I complain a lot about tiny mic packs, but Sennheiser has come up with one that solves all the problems for the reasons why I hate these things. They've certainly waited for a while in putting their own out, and I think perfected all of the mistakes that people have been making in theirs. And they've now introduced their new wireless profile microphone system. This little thing is the tiniest mic pack I've ever seen. And I call it a mic pack because yes, you can use it as a microphone to record like a typical influencer, a gym bro, or my least favorite, magnet mic pack. But my favorite option is being able to take this tiny little pack and make it into simply the most discreet mic pack I may have ever used. What they have on this is so many different dual record settings to ensure that you can be getting two different levels being recorded simultaneously, whether that's the left or the right track, or if you're in a panic, you can just go to their safety mode, which records a second track at -6 dB, so you always make sure that you're not peaking. What's also super cool with this whole setup is it comes with this case. Similar to how your headphones go in a case and charge, so do these mics. They pop into this whole little setup here, and now they're not only charging, but you can hot swap, pop out another one here like a cigarette. And now I have my other mic that I can run around and record with while this one is charging. Oh, where's the magnet? Do they hide the magnet? Oh yeah, here there. I think these are the magnets. Oh, that's like, yeah, I didn't know. Do you see that? That's sick. The magnet's just built right into the back. Boom. And of course, it comes with one of these silly little furry mustaches, which you actually really do need outside. And it actually helps with the test 1, 2, Peter Piper, poo, poo, poo. Now, these mic packs usually have about 7 hours of runtime. They also have 16 gigabytes of internal recording. And they have a setting on this where if you ever lose your signal, it can just kick on the internal recording so that you never miss your audio. What's also fun with this is you'll see you can keep these in here while they're charging. This becomes a microphone that you can run around and stick in people's face. My favorite thing about this whole mic kit is that there's no app. It's just plug and play. I pulled this out of the kit and immediately was recording audio within 30 seconds. This is certainly the first time I have considered adding a 2.4 gigahertz mic record pack to my kit because this thing is tiny and it sounds great. Thank you, Sennheiser, for sponsoring this. Go get good audio. It's your duty as a filmmaker. Don't compromise on it.
One of the questions I got from you was, how did I choose the actual sequence of shots? One basic principle to editing, storytelling, and directing is building. You gotta build towards somewhere. You can't reveal everything all at once. And so you can actually see in this piece, each shot that we're doing in this beginning, it's just a gate opening. And then we're seeing weights in a gym. So now we know where we are. First off, we don't know where we are. We just see this light coming in. Then slowly we begin to reveal the information that, okay, we're in a gym. Then we begin to see feet. Okay, there's a person in here. And if you're a CBUM fan, you're gonna go, hey, I know those Birkenstocks. Is this CBUM? Well, you probably knew that because you're watching it on his channel. Already has 700,000 views. Then we get to see his hands. Now we're thinking, oh, I'm gonna get to see the guy work out. We're building towards something. We're building towards a story. This is what you wanna do. You don't wanna just throw random footage in your timeline. Don't do this. This is aimless filmmaking. This is what we're always teaching is assertive filmmaking. You wanna think, where am I building? What am I building towards? Where is the ending gonna be? And when I thought about this teaser, I thought, what happens at the end of a big production? A curtain drops. This is where I thought, if I could get Chris having finality on stage, we knew we wanted to end with the stage going to black. And I was thinking, where do I want to start? That's why we started with this opening shot here. This is like the curtain opening. This was on the Sigma 28 to 45 mil lens. And then you can see the last shot here. It's the curtain closing. We got bookends. The piece feels cohesive. But as you go through this, you'll see that we're slowly, like even the fact that I'm cropping out his head, this was very intentional. I never wanted to show his face right away because I wanted to build towards something. You want to give people payoff. They're like, I want to see CBUM's face. Well, I'm not going to show it to you right away. You're going to have to wait. You're going to have to keep watching. So you're thinking maybe this next shot I'll get to see some CBUM. Nope, you're going to see some trophies. But you'll know that we're alluding to his victories. This is one of my favorite shots because it's on Helios with hard lighting. It's the best. You get the flares, we got dappling, we have a tree. It's everything I love. Now we're hinting towards Vegas. You can see the famous, this thing. Ooh, this Flamingo? I forget, but that's a famous place in Vegas. So again, there's little hints. You could watch this teaser many times and you begin to see tidbits along the way. That's what makes a good film, is that there's replay value. And this is also a weird shot. This is on the Ronin going against the reflection of the window rather than just shooting a normal shot. When I was there in Vegas, it just felt like normal B-roll. I hated it. It felt like I was shooting stock video. It felt like it should all be on Pond 5, and I didn't want that. I wanted it to look different. So I got the Ronin, went outside the sunroof. The cop beside us was looking at us and just waved, and it's Vegas, so he just let it happen. Told him I hadn't been drinking. Danny Soto was driving. He's the man. I should actually mention, pretty much 98% of our crew members on this were from Art of Documentary. That was one of the most fun things in my career, was hiring all AOD students. You're making your money back. You bought a course, and now we're paying you to be on set. This shot, shooting off the windshield, just do something different. Again, the audience now is thinking, oh, I might get to see another unique perspective in life. Bam, finally, we get to show Chris's face. Just because at this point, we're what? 19 seconds in, we kind of have to give the people a little payoff, but we're not fully seeing Chris in all his glory. This isn't all of his muscles right now. We're just seeing him in the car here. This is naturally lit. This was used on the FX3 with this Delkin here. Love this thing. Wow, it sounds great. This, a lot of you asked about this. I'll put a link below. It's like a $70 car mount. It's not a fancy thing. It doesn't have Bluetooth or anything like that. You just shove it against the window, make sure that it's not dirty underneath. And then I put my FX3 down, 16 to 35, went on the 35 mil, and we just drove around for a little while. But I didn't add any lights because honestly, I didn't want Chris to feel like this was a shot. I wanted him to feel natural. I just said, look out the window, think about the week ahead, Chris. Gave him some prompts and let him be a human. Except sometimes you look down on his phone, I'd be like, look out the window, keep thinking. But this, to me, the slash of light that we get here is cooler than anything I could come up with. I wouldn't know how to light that slash and the fact that it's moving. Sometimes the real world will deliver you better lighting than you could ever create. Rather not travel with lights, just find the beautiful light. It's kind of fun. It's like a scavenger hunt. Go find it. You'll find it.
Stop it. Get some help.
All of these opening shots here, there's not been a single light used in this so far. But what there was the app Sunseeker. We went out and waited to get this exact time in the gym when the light was coming through here. And that meant we actually went and practiced. We pretty much shot this whole piece with just our producer Tad as our stand-in. We used him for a lot of these just to know where's the light, does this look good, so that when Chris came in, bam, 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 we can nail it all off. And we knew that we were shooting this teaser while the film was unfolding, but we didn't make every day like a teaser shoot. I would just every once in a while switch over to 60 frames and make sure that this was a teaser moment. 16 to 35 at 60 frames. This is at 16 mil, pointed up. 12,800 ISO, FX6. I just love shooting the world that my characters are in. I think texture in the world, the environments, what they're seeing, what you're seeing is a great way to keep your film interesting, but it's also a great way for people to be invited into a cinematic universe, the one that you're building. This was just a badass shot, feels like Batman. We got the fan going, Nanlux 2400B punching through the window. This is the first shot in the entire teaser that we actually lit something. This was done with Nick Pilecki and Derek Lamoureux. They lit this whole space. I think we added a little bit of haze. That's on the Ronin, just moving through on the 35 mil. But this, again, back to natural light. It's all about finding that natural light and shooting 90 degrees from it. Get a big, soft, ambient source that's natural, and then stand at 90 degrees, and you're gonna get this beautiful lighting that's nice and soft, but you're gonna get a ton of shadow fall off if you go at 90 degrees from where the light source is. And I'm just standing on a bench, holding the Ronin above him. I love Ronin for high shots, looking down, then you can tilt it, you don't have to pull the whole camera. And this was just Chris doing an actual posing routine. I knew these were gonna be in the teaser, but I waited for the days that Chris would actually be doing this. He was FaceTiming his coach, he had to do his posing routine so that they could analyze and figure this muscle needs to go here, all that crazy stuff. I don't have muscles like Chris. I don't know what that's like. And I tried to get something different. I was tired of looking at the same old shots that I've been shooting the entire time. My goal as a filmmaker, when I'm working on my film, is can I show this activity, this sport, this person in a way that people haven't seen before? So I'm kind of looking for weird. It's also why we chose the music the way we did. It's why we did it in black and white. Giving someone a new world will be fun for them to watch. Again, though, we are not showing Chris's face. It's withholding. I'm not even putting his face in focus here. I'm focused on the muscles. I'm trying to make the audience work a little so that they feel there will be a payoff to finally see Chris fully focused with all his muscles. I don't want to give that away at the beginning, because then what are you going to watch? That's probably why you're here. You want to see the guy with the muscles, or you want to see where it's going. This shot here in the ice bath was just because we wanted to get him not working out always. We didn't want to show really any weightlifting pretty much through this full thing. We wanted to show the moments in between because you've probably seen Chris lift weights before. So this was an ice bath, and I got the camera nice and low so that we could see all this water spilling out here, just kind of give another perspective. The bummer was all the ice poured out, so it didn't look quite like an ice bath, but you can kind of see some of those ice chunks there. And this is on the Helios, looking straight at him. Big theme of this film is Chris trying to be the best in the world while not becoming the worst person. That was what the tension, the existential question he was asking. So this shot was all about that. It's a nice moment that he's hanging out with his daughter in the house. It feels very intimate. It doesn't feel lit. It's just a window coming in here. I love the black and white. There's his dog Poppy. Just wanted to try to show some more intimate shots so that people knew if they're gonna watch this film later on next year, they'll actually get to see some cool moments. And hopefully you're gonna be watching it on something like Netflix. There's no story reason for this shot. It's just badass. Chris is in his Camaro, shooting a 16-35 when there's lots of reflections. Again, I probably could have lit this, but I also kind of like things feeling natural. We're getting his hand. Again, for the teaser, it wasn't about seeing his face. We almost wanted to do the whole teaser where you never saw his face, but then that kind of just felt silly. I like kind of keeping things hidden. We get this nice wide shots. We're getting reflections on every part of the car. No story reason for this shot, just looks cool. You can have a few of those. You get maybe 2 or 3 of those in your teasers or in your films you're making where it's just a cool shot.
Was I honest about all it took to get here?
Saying if I'm being honest, I think that's why it's big breath. That can work there. Feels like he's tired, which leads us to this next shot of him exhausted in the middle of the gym. He's depleted. That's where that's connecting with the dialogue. Am I honest about everything that it took to get here? This is something in Chris's life that he does that not many people see, where he just lays alone in his gym, meditating and resting between sets. So at this point in the film, this is probably in day 50 of shooting with him, we were comfortable and we said, hey, can we shoot that? You know, in between set, if you're exhausted, just go lay down. And I was just off in the corner with the Ronin 4D, pushing it on him here. This is a 25 mil lens. Made sure to get his Camaro in the background because it's beautiful and it relates to the shots from before. But yeah, I love this shot. It's intimate. It shows that he's being vulnerable, shows that he's being honest that with everything that it took to get here. Another strong shot. We're now showing him actually lift weights. You got to throw one of those in there. We debated extensively whether to have this in. There was actually one shot that, yeah, here it is. You let me know which shot you like more. There's this shot, him lifting through the weights. It's cool, but you can't really see how strong he is. You see a little bit of a bicep. I think it's a really cool shot. You know why it's still there in the timeline. Or there's this. Leave it in the comments. I'm really interested to know what you guys think. This is really helpful. Thank you for your time. Boom. Yeah, that's the shot to me, the second one. It's very commercial. It's well lit. This is the Godox 400, I believe. We'll put the name of it on the screen right now. It's above in a soft box. And then we had that Nanlux light punching through the window. It's very commercial, but we do finally get to see a bit of his muscles, a bit of a payoff. And then bam, here's a tough workout. This is all natural lighting. This is in a gym. I'm on a 70-200 here. Sometimes I would shoot on the 70-200 during his workouts so Chris could just feel like he was off on his own. But hint, as your film goes later into production, you can get on wider lenses, I find, because your characters should be more comfortable with you and you should have a better relationship with them. But this is on a 70-200, and I'm slowly zooming it in with my hands. I don't recommend doing this all the time. It takes a lot of practice. I screwed up a lot of shots, but this is actually an in-camera zoom. What a novelty. And I love this shot because Chris puts his hands on his knees. He's saying, well, I remembered for what I did or who I was. This is what he did. This is him pushing. This is his veins pressing. Everything is straining here. It's a real shot. We get to see him. Boom, you hear the weights drop and he's exhausted. And right as his head hits back, we go to a vulnerable moment. We just went from the biggest strength, him being this big, strong beast here, and then boom.
Or who I was.
Who were you, Chris? Well, you're a man who's in touch with his feelings, who's a supportive husband, who loves his wife, and that's what this was all about. That's what was showing from that last shot of what I did to who I was. And Chris said that was his favorite line of dialogue that we had written, and that's why we left it in there. Like I said, we had maybe about 20 lines of voiceover, and we cut it down to maybe just these 7, but Chris said that was the one that connected with him the most. And you can see Courtney's face here. Fun little fact, I actually added a little, what you call a mask, because it was too dark. And when I showed this to the team, they said, we would love to see Courtney's face, and I agreed. we want to see Courtney's face. It's about them connecting. This is him about being a father. And finally, I hit the focus at the end. I just noticed that now. Most of that shot was out of focus, but it works because it was a moment. And then here we go. This was just a badass shot on the Ronin. You can see this entire gym space looks like something out of Star Wars. So when there's a really cool environment, whether it's on the front of a car hood or you're shooting lightning and a tree in the foreground, when you want to show a big space, a big world, get on a big lens. A big lens, I mean a wide lens. This is the 18 mil on a full frame sensor. It's cropped because we're shooting at 60 on the Ronin 4D. But you wanted to see everything here. We have these lights, we have this gym equipment. We're shooting at 60 here. It's fun to see him straining and actually feels like a tough workout. His legs are bulging. And we use this clip here, story-wise, because Chris says this one line, it's the best.
It's Chris Bumstead here. I'm 21 years old. I will be making the switch to classic physique, so might as well step on stage and give it a shot.
He says 28 specifically at the beginning of that. It's like a little portal into the past. This is Chris 6 years before this competition. And he says, I might as well give it a shot. And bam, here we are. Him 6 years later, you can see the top of the Olympia sign, this big wall. This is him about to go on stage. He's backstage. Again, contrast. We go from young Chris to present day Chris. We go from kind of a skinny guy just sitting on a doorstep to this big, strong action figure about to go win his 6th title. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for contrast. Every shot you put beside another shot can tell a story. You're a director. You're not just throwing stuff in your timeline. Really perseverate over this. Really think about this. This teaser took me 3 months to make. I kept coming back to it, re-editing it. I look at it on different phones, different formats. Was really stressing over each shot. You can see just here in my timeline how many different clips. I think I've actually cleaned it up. You can see all these clips here that are all disabled. That's because I was thinking, was this a better shot? Was this one a better shot? Did this one work? You can see even at the end of my timeline here, just so many different clips that never made it in, but I tried all of these. I find it's worthwhile stressing over this, but then it's also good to go with your original instincts. A lot of these shots are the first ones I chose, but I would go around and mess around, but there's always 1 or 2 shots at the end of a teaser that don't necessarily work. This was Chris's, when I showed this to him, this was his favorite transition because it was. He said he looked at that and he goes, that young guy there doesn't know what's coming. And he sure didn't. And this was just on the FX6 16 to 35. You can see here, little hint, if you're shooting bodybuilding or anything where you're trying to show someone's physical stature, get on a wide lens. This is the 16 shot at 60. I'm just on my camera sack here walking around. And I do believe, oh, would you look at that? I was gonna say there's gonna be image stabilization, but there isn't. That is just straight 60 frames. That's why the camera sack's so great, because if you can just get your arms on it, you can get rid of your footsteps. Yeah, it's a pretty smooth shot. Oh, there's a little bump, but sometimes bumps are nice. This shot here is right. We have Chris look at the camera right when he says these lines.
Only if you've decided to set your own.
And that's when he breaks the 4th wall for the first time. He looks at camera. You can see here with the footage, I had to mask out this side of the frame, and I used a mask here that just tracked along because that Life Fitness, they're not paying for anything, and it was very distracting. I wanted our eyes to go directly to Chris's face, and with that too, Chris's face was a bit dark, so I added a mask on his face there. I know I could be doing this all in DaVinci Resolve, I just don't know it very well, and I'm very comfortable with Adobe Premiere. This whole thing was built off my LUT, which you can get in my LUT pack. This is the high con LUT, and I love it. It's just really punchy. You get rich blacks. I was monitoring this on set with that same LUT. My LUTs you can put on your monitor and look at that, and then I just brought it into post-production and kept working with it. My LUTs all have the Rec 709 conversion built into them. Then we cut to this final shot. I knew I needed a final shot. I needed some sort of curtain to close, and I thought maybe that was just gonna be a fade to black that felt like a curtain. But then when we were walking around the stage, I saw this door that would open and close for the main competitors. And it began to dawn upon me that this could be our curtain. So I was able to sneak into the back there and get the camera right on the ground. And this is where I love the FX6. This is on that 16 to 35. You'll see just before this, I had a real-time shot. And at the last minute, right as that gate's going open, I had to quickly switch to 12,800 ISO, go to 60 frames, and then add a quarter ND in. And because the FX6 has that all super close and available, I was able to just do that really quick so that we then got this shot in slow motion. Reached around to open up the curtain there, while this dropped down, and then I added a little bit of post-production stabilization and zoomed in on this because there's a little bit of shake. I'm just holding this right on the ground there, trying to not get in the broadcast feed. We switch back over here and you'll see we added the title. Some of you asked if I had always planned to have the title on that side. No, that was just the framing. I wanted Chris to leave the frame here. I was hoping that he would kind of like leaving, going into this new future of his. He didn't quite leave frame, but it was fine because it worked perfectly for where the title was to land on this piece. There you go. That's all those shots broken down there. Appreciate all your questions. If there's anything I learned from the benefit of creating this teaser, it's actually holding off to do your most cinematic shots. You as a director will feel all this pressure to have to get the most cinematic and beautiful stuff earlier on in your film. But I promise you, if you build a rapport with your character and you start to show them the vision of the project as you're moving on, they may be losing energy near the end, but you're gonna be able to help them know that, hey, right now, I'm not gonna bother you asking you to do certain stuff, but let's save a day at the end of the project. That's something I asked Chris from the beginning. I put it in my pitch deck. I said, at the end of this project, we're gonna do one big cinematic shoot day, and that's where we got all that crazy lighting you're seeing from that shot moving towards the fan. Those are the types of things I couldn't ask him to do, and I couldn't light his gym like that during workouts all black with a giant spotlight, but we waited for a final day to be able to do that. Let me know any more questions you have. Maybe DM me on Instagram and I can try to answer them as much as possible. But thanks for watching this one. Thanks to our sponsor, Riverside. You can go check them out and stay logged on this channel. I'll be talking more about this project. I gotta get into the post-production. I'll be talking a bit about that, but I do need to spend some time now working with my team, editing this. It's been a long, somewhat tiring year, to be very honest, but that's part of filmmaking, and I'm very grateful to be working on a big project like this. The goal is to take this to Netflix. If you've made it this far, leave me a little film emoji so I know that you're one of the 10%ers who watches these full videos. If you did watch all this, you're awesome. Appreciate it. And thanks to my editor, Santi. This was a long one. I'm gonna have my nice German coffee. It's not German coffee, it's Colombian, but no, it's Ethiopian, but it's in a German mug, probably made in China. What a world.